If you caught the last video where we went to Lampert Castle, you'll know that we discovered this beautiful valley incised into the Czech landscape out west of Brno. And in fact, there were two castles, Lampert on one side and a more modern castle on the other. So this last weekend, we decided to try to get to the other castle. It was a beautiful, cold, winter's day, blue sky, sun shining through the forest as we walked towards the valley from the car. And the first thing that we found was two female lines crossing, marked, it would seem, by this cross on the stone, on the ground. Funny how things like that happen. I'm sure this has got nothing to do with energy lines, but nonetheless it does mark where two female lines cross. We stood on the lip of the deeply incised valley for some time, looking down on Lambert Castle, where we'd been just a couple of weeks ago, and admiring the magnificent scenery. I'll have to go back in the summer and see what this looks like when all the trees are fully green and all the vegetation in full bloom. But I suspect that any time of the year, it looks marvellous, beautiful, and the sort of place that you could spend hours and hours wandering around. Nonetheless, our job was to find the other castle, and so having discovered which way the footpath went that we needed to take, we were soon on our way
So
down.
that's the castle we were at down there somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, then we can find. We had to find.
Over there. Oh, okay. So we go this way, somehow.
Which way?
This way.
This way?
This way.
Of course, on the way down, we were dowsing, mapping the occasional Type 4 line that we found, and also stopping from time to time to admire the views, which, as I keep telling you, are absolutely amazing. It's a wonderful spot, and really, I want to spend a lot of time there in the future.
You lost them again?
One little secret that I'll tell you about Eva is that she likes to lose her sticks. Wherever we go, she will always put down the dowsing rods and forget all about them, meaning that we have a small mad panic trying to find them again. But she's never lost them, never lost them. But she does keep trying. Anyway, on the way down, of course, as I said, we were dowsing, and I'll show you the result of that towards the end of the video with a map. And it really wasn't that far to this other castle. The truth be told, it was just a bit further on from where we are right now.
We can come back that way. It goes same place.
The castle ruins were marked by three large wooden crosses, which made it obvious where the castle was, and it seemed that this relates to a legend about the owner of the castle going off somewhere, leaving his daughters and wife at the castle, only to return to find them all dead. A sad, sad story, but this is a remarkable place, and there is a node of a Type 4 node with a male and a female line crossing just in front, in fact where I'm stood, just in front of these crosses, which give it a powerful atmosphere that later on we certainly spent some time meditating in. The castle itself is rather better preserved than the other one, but the first order of the day was to build a fire so we could sit in the, get warm and have lunch. To light the fire, I used a technique that I was taught by a Czech army soldier on a survival course that I did a couple of 3 years ago. It involves using a unrolled tampon, would you believe, which is a great way to basically start the fire with a spark, and a spark generated from a sparking key that I have. It took a couple of false starts, but we soon had the fire burning, and were soon roasting food over it, bread rolls and goodness knows what else. In terms of the castle, it's a little bit better preserved than Lamberg Castle, But actually, there's no real reliable history on the castle itself. It was probably built in the 14th century, probably by people associated with the Trebich monastery. It was also destroyed sometime in the 15th century, although there's no written history of what fate befell it and the people that lived there. The last mention of the castle is dating back to 1556, when it's mentioned as being abandoned. We soon found a male line or a positive line passing through the main body of the castle, and a female or negative line that came over the back, crossed the male line in front of the three crosses and carried on. So there's definitely a vortex just in front of those crosses, the other side of those crosses, and some nice energies to be had there. The castle itself is predominantly on the positive line, which is normal. Places of governance usually on the positive lines.
Go back the way you came.
And after putting out the fire, it was time to head back up the hill
Let's go
before
back
it
the
got
way you
dark
came.
and take one last look at the second castle and some of the tree art that nature had left it with in the process.
A straight line across the hill of the sunlight. So we're here, and there are two female lines that come very close together, if in fact they don't cross. But just like in other examples, we can hear a very high-pitched whistling sound. And I'm now convinced that this is a sound that you hear when lines come very close together. Can you hear the high-pitched whistling
There was
sound?
one treat left in store for us at the end of the day as the sun began to set and the cold began to get more intense. And that was that just next door to where I'd parked the car was an enclosure with lots of deer. And two of the stags decided that now might be a good time to have a little bit of a ruck.